Hello, it's Scott Berry, and today we're with Marc Schilling, one of the premier roofing contractors in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing fantastic.
Man, thank you so much for visiting with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So our podcast is for people that own contracting businesses, remodeling businesses, roofing businesses, and want to learn from the best. They're looking for the things that people do that they hadn't tried yet, just lessons learned. And you have a very successful operation and roofing company. And I think there are going to be some things that you've done that other people can learn from.
Most definitely. And I'm happy to share my knowledge. A lot of hard work and experience, a lot of failures.
Yep.
And I think
not everything worked the very first time.
Definitely did not.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So let's start off with how you got into the business and how kind of SEI was born.
Sure. So I was in college. My freshman year of college, I played golf on a scholarship and decided that that was not the route I wanted to pursue. So I went back to college full time and I was bartending. And I had a client walk into the restaurant one night and said, "Hey, man, how would you like to make more money than you can imagine?" You know, and as a bartender, you're like, yeah, I hear this all the time.
Right.
Well, this guy owned a roofing business and he took me under his wings, started teaching me the ropes. And I was actually making less money because I was 20. No one wants to buy a roof from a 20-year-old.
Yeah. You were just getting started.
And I was just getting started learning the industry.
Yeah.
So when I would sit down with a client like yourself, you would ask me 3 questions and I'd know maybe one. And so I just struck out left and right. And then a hailstorm hit in Euston where I was working. And it was a predominantly Asian area.
Where the storm hit.
Yeah. And everybody had a $250 deductible back then.
Oh, wow.
So my sales pitch was, if I can get you a new roof for $250, would you buy a roof? And every one of them said, if you can get me a new roof for $250, I'll buy a roof. And back then, this was roughly 30 years ago. If you knocked doors, you knocked it out of the park because no one knocked doors.
Right.
And so I killed it. And I was in college.
You were hustling.
Oh, I was hustling.
That's what it was.
Full-time student, and I'm knocking doors every afternoon and working the weekends. And I made more money than my college professor my junior and senior year of college.
Yeah, I believe it.
So when I graduated, I came up to Dallas, and I went to work for one of the premier roofing companies at that time here in Dallas, Pyramid Roofing. And one of the owners, Dan Worstell, took me under his wing and took me to a whole nother level. And I actually flew out to Colorado and worked for them in Colorado for a year. And when I came back, that's when I decided to venture out on my own and start my own business. Yeah. And I learned a lot through 2 very successful roofing businesses. And I learned a lot from being around some great successful salesmen on, what works and what doesn't work.
Well, you had some mentors.
I had some great mentors.
And is that something you'd recommend for other people just getting in the business?
Most definitely. Growing up, my father owned his own insurance business. And so I was taught at a very early age, work ethics,
yes,
how to work hard, determination, and basically taking care of clients and taking care of your customer. And that's what my dad did so well. So I took those things that I learned when I was a kid and I implemented them into my roofing business.
Yep. So tell us about the business. What are you guys really good at? What are you known for?
Well, so when I got into this business, you talk about learning along the way. One thing I recognized really early on is we all predominantly use Hispanic crews, right? And so there's always a language barrier when you send your crew out to a customer's house. And they're calling you that morning, "Hey, we don't even know who to talk to here. Who's your foreman?" The foremans they're bilingual, but they don't want to talk to the customer.
Yeah,
they feel intimidated. Yeah, they don't want to say the wrong thing. So early on, I recognized, you know what? We need a project manager. I need an employee of my company on every job to represent us, to be the liaison between those two and to make sure that things run smoothly. So it was a big venture because when you first start a roofing business, overhead, you're trying to keep down to a minimum. And when you bring on a $50,000 to $75,000 employee,
it comes right out of your pocket.
It comes right out of your pocket to your bottom line.
Yep.
But I can tell you, for a roofing company that's starting off, that is something that you need to put on your platform of what you want to accomplish. And you want to have that person added to your business plan as soon as possible.
So one of the first people that you would hire?
Well, most definitely obviously you need to have a very strong sales force, one or two or three good guys. But as soon as you establish your sales, you need to budget into your business a project manager.
So you can do it probably for a little while, right?
You can make it happen. As an owner, I was the project manager because once I started recognizing, hey, there's a problem here, I had to go out into the job sites and be that person on the job to make sure things ran smoothly, to make sure everything's getting cleaned up, making sure that the things the customer told me were important to them, their landscaping, protecting this flower bed, making sure you cover up the pool, all that is being taken care of, because we all know that if someone's not managing your guys, they're going to take some shortcuts.
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah. So, early on, I realized, hey, if I got to cut my salary back to afford to have this guy, that's what I'm going to do, because that's going to create longevity, and that's going to create those relationships to when the second storm and the third storm hit. Those people are coming back to you saying, hey, we had a great experience. We're not risking. We saw what happened when our neighbors went with a guy that's a little bit cheaper.
Yep.
They had a lot of problems.
Yep. And
we had a great experience with you. And when someone has that great experience, they're not going to go a different direction.
Yeah, there's no reason. They don't want to risk it.
It's not worth the risk.
Yeah, because
to save a few $100s.
And a bad roof could be stuck on there until the next storm.
Exactly.
I mean, a long time.
And you have one bad leak, and that roofer's not there to take care of it and to honor his warranty and to take care of whatever damage might happen on the inside.
Yep. That
might cost you thousands.
Absolutely. So that's one of your advantages, right? Because we get a lot of storms in the Dallas Metroplex, and a lot of the people roofing don't roof, 12 months out of the year. They're also painters and other things. And then some people aren't around 2 months later, right? Talk about that, because that's one of your strengths. You've been here for a long time. You're going to be here for a long time. And it makes you unique in this industry.
Yes, most definitely. I started this in 97, and so I've been around the block a long time. I know all the good roofing companies. I know the ones that are here for a year or two and they disappear. Then they jump back into it when a storm hits. And unfortunately, there's a lot of homeowners that aren't familiar with this industry and what goes on.
Yep. There's a lot of new people to the area.
There's a lot of new people. So that has been what I've been trying to do with my clients, is to educate them on, don't just look at the price, because a lot of people are looking at the price, or even if it's an insurance claim, they're like, hey, I'm out my deductible. What else am I out? And so someone comes around and offers a little bit better deal. That can be very inviting to the homeowner, but they're not seeing the long-term repercussions.
They don't have
go down
the
that
experience yet. I mean, once you've been burned,
then you realize
exactly.
The customers that have been burned. I know, because they ask the right questions.
Exactly.
They ask all the right questions. They review the contract. They make sure that it's a win-win for both of us, but they're protected.
Yeah. Yeah. You get burned one time, end up having to spend thousands on leaks, and you'll be much smarter the next time around.
Sure.
So let me ask you this. How important are referrals and reviews and things like that to this business?
It's everything. And I've realized it more and more over the past few years. It's this market, we were talking about it earlier. This market was, it was for the taking probably 9-10 years ago on the Google side of it. Mm-hmm. And you could
running Google ads.
You could run the Google ads, and you could pay the money, and you could get a very good return on your investment. And over the years, that return has diminished. Yeah. And to the point of, it's almost like, hey, I'm not making money, and I'm just doing this to build my clientele base. So if you're a new roofing company, it could be advantageous just to build some clientele for the long run.
Maybe during storm season or something.
But in and out, that's not where it's at. It's really in the referrals. It's gotten
expensive.
It's gotten extremely expensive.
Really expensive.
The referrals are where it's at. You've got to network, and you've got to work your client. And that's why, for these new guys getting into this industry, you got to have a project manager, because that whole experience, and this is what I try to teach my team, it's just not, hey, I got a new roof and I had a decent experience. You have to overwhelm them.
Yeah.
You have to leave that lasting impression.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and accomplish that, then you have a lifetime customer.